The prime reason for recording today, Rachel, is that it is extension day in the NBA, where we have the deadline, which was 5 p.m. Eastern time this afternoon, to extend a whole bunch of guys across the league that were extension eligible right now. And we saw some extensions, get done over the last 24, 48 hours. Most notably, Kevin Durant gets a 2-year, $90 million deal with Houston. The second year of that deal, a player option. So basically, Kevin Durant is locked in for at least the next 2 years with the Houston Rockets. The Portland Trail Blazers signed a couple of guys. You got Christian Brown locked up in Denver. But let's start with Durant. It was widely expected that a deal was going to get done with Kevin. I spent some time with him a couple of weeks ago down in Houston. He made it clear that this wasn't just where he wanted to be right now. He wanted to be there long term. And you know how these deals work. Like, Kevin Durant is not traded from the Phoenix Suns to the Houston Rockets unless they have a pretty good idea of what it's going to take to sign him to a long-term deal. So he gets a deal done. He's going to be paid $45 million over the 2 years of that deal. And for Houston, it's $30 million less than what he could have received on a 2-year max contract. So it gives them some flexibility to make some other deals down the road. So what did you think of the deal that Durant got with the Rockets?
I mean, look, first of all, as we discuss all these extensions, it's just clearer every year that there has never been a time in the NBA where who is in your front office has made more of a difference. And I know we know that, and anyone who follows the league really closely knows that. But I think there are fans out there who feel like, oh, we've got a star player, we're good. And there's just so much cap gymnastics and multiple aprons of the CBA and all of the things that who you have having these discussions, whether they prioritize giving you a good bench, how they work contracts with their big stars. It is critical to have someone who knows what they're doing there so that the team can go beat the team that these fans see out on the floor. And, look, Houston is an example of that. Not only did they get Durant to sign for $30 million less than he could have signed or could have demanded. I mean, they did the same thing with Sengun a year ago, right? They got him to take a discount. So I think the fact that this front office has gotten these players to believe like, hey, we're all in it for each other, sacrifice a little here. We can build the team and give you, a brighter future. And obviously that conversation with Kevin Durant is a lot easier because he's still making, hundreds, he's made what over his career? I think with this
almost $600 million. Yeah.
Right. And I'm looking because I want to see the exact number. With this contract, he becomes the record holder for the highest career earnings in NBA history, $598 million, which surpasses LeBron because LeBron doesn't have a contract past this year. So Durant's is taking into account next year as well. But it's easier to make that argument to your players when they have $600 million in contracts behind them. But that being said, look, Golden State played Jimmy Butler the max. San Antonio, they paid De'Aaron Fox the max. So I think that it speaks well of Durant that he understands what it takes to win in today's NBA. He really is in it, as he told you. He's, putting his money where his mouth is, literally. And it speaks to the front office here that they are able to get these guys to do this and that they're willing to negotiate with these guys as opposed to what seems like in some places the auto stamp max.
Yeah. It's notable to me that Rafael Stone, the GM in Houston, has been very disciplined when it comes to all things Kevin Durant. The Rockets could have acquired Durant at the trade deadline last year. There was an opening for them to do that. But the Rockets weren't willing to sweeten their offer any more than what they had already put on the table. And, Rafael Stone never really came off that. And being able to hold your ground and only give up a certain amount of assets has positioned them to be a player in future trades. Like, they still have some capital from the Phoenix Suns. They still have some other draft picks. They still have some young players. Cap space, but like equally as important, like you've still got guys like, they're not talking about it now, but Sengun, if they wanted to trade him, is a manageable deal, especially how he's playing. Jabari Smith is a tradable contract as well. Like, they've got pieces that they can move if they want to go superstar hunting for one more guy. So Rafael Stone was disciplined there, and he was clearly disciplined here. Now, I do think that Durant and the Rockets front office were probably largely on the same page with what he was going to get. I don't think Durant expected to get 2 years, $120 at this stage of his career. And look, Durant one of the things he told me when I was down there was like one of the most frustrating aspects of being in Phoenix the last 2 years was there wasn't any margin for error with those teams. Like he wanted to have a roster that allowed him to have an off night and to not have to carry the team every single night. So by taking a little bit less money, it frees them up to do that, to make the kind of deals that they need to make there. So look, it's still, look, ultimately it's really a 1-year deal for Durant. Like he can opt out after the first year of that extension and renegotiate a whole new deal that might pay him more money. Who knows? Who knows what Kevin Durant's going to be at his age 39 season. But he has
feel
some
like
flexibility.
It feels like this deal is for the next 2 years, doesn't it?
Could be. I mean, look, if he's still playing like Kevin Durant, and I do think his game's going to age pretty well, they might decide to tear up that last year of that contract, give a new 2-year deal, just keep extending off of that. He's never going to get like a 4-year deal or a 3-year deal even, but I can see him going along that path. So I think it's a good deal for Durant. It's a great deal as a team for the Rockets. It is notable to me though that Houston was not able to get a deal done with Tari Eason before the deadline. And I'm not all that surprised about that either, because, Tari Eason had kind of an uneven season last year, and he's coming into this year expecting to play a much bigger role. Like, when I talked to Tari Eason, he talked a lot about assuming that Dylan Brooks role, the physical defensive guy. He's coming off the bench, but he's going to get an opportunity to play a lot of minutes with this team. If Tari Eason has the kind of year that he believes he's capable of, my guess is that he is going to outplay whatever contract the Rockets want to tie him to. So I know it was disappointing for Houston to not get Tari Eason locked in, but I can see it from Eason's perspective. I think he believes he's going to have a big year, and that's going to lead to a much better deal.
Yeah, no, I agree. And he's betting on himself, and we've seen that work in the NBA. So I think as the cap keeps rising, that's a smart play by him. I want to double back to one thing you said about Durant. You said Durant at this stage of his career could reasonably expect a $120 million contract. I don't know. This man is aging so well. He shot an NBA best, 50% on jumpers last season, 53% on mid-range shots, right? And he also has best shooting percentage on off of the dribble jumpers entire NBA. So this is a guy who is still performing at such an elite level. I think he could have been Rockets and said, yeah, give me the 120 million. I want the same max deal that Jimmy Butler got. I want the same max deal that, that De'Aaron Fox got, whatever our version is with the number of years. And he didn't. And I think that's notable. And I think it's notable on Raphael Stone's part to be able to sort of have that buy-in from Durant. I think it's notable on his part to sort of have that buy-in himself. And I don't know, I'm very curious with this team. Obviously they took such a with Van Vliet, but the more you talk to people around there, the more they believe they are still as in it as they were before.
Yeah, I guess more my point was I think Durant knew with the Rockets he wasn't going to get there, because I do think there was some back channeling before. I mean, Durant, hell,
in the end,
had to watch.
I
just had to watch that Starting Five documentary where Durant was talking about, what Phoenix was trying to do and the teams he was talking to. Like he controlled that situation pretty well, and I'm absolutely sure that the parameters were set when it came to Durant at a long-term deal with the Rockets. And by the way, I've been saying for weeks now that the Rockets were not going to miss Fred VanVleet, that they weren't going to miss him.
Yes.
I'm sorry. And now here we are with Houston. Before we move on from the Rockets, let's discuss this, who are going to go into opening night with what has to be the biggest lineup in NBA history. Yes. Like you have got Steven Adams and Alperen Sengun, two basically 7-footers. You've got Jabari Smith at 6'11" at 3. Kevin Durant at probably 7 feet, even though he doesn't like to call himself that.
Let's be honest, 7 feet.
Is sitting there at 2 guard. And 6'7" Amen Thompson, who has been solid at that point guard spot, he is going to be your starting playmaker. That is, in a league that has been trending small in recent years, all of a sudden, this is a big-time zag by the Rockets. What do you think of this decision to go plus size in Houston?
I'm not sure it's been trending small in recent years. It was certainly trending small for a very long time. But I do feel we've seen some tall lineups win the day around the NBA. And I wasn't shocked to see them taking this tack, especially, look, the Van Vliet injury forced their hand. Amen Thompson is going to have a much bigger role, and sort of they're trusting him to be able to grow into it. I love it. I'd love to see what, these aren't big guys. They're big athletic guys. And that's really where sort of the change has come, is that there's still a bias in the NBA. Like, oh, big guys, they're not as athletic. The little guys, the Steph Currys of the world dribble around them. These are athletic guys. And I'm very interested to see with this kind of lineup, how they do.
Yeah, I'm curious too. I mean, they're playing a team that's going to play big on opening night. I mean, you're going to have Hartenstein and Chet Holmgren out there to match up with Sengun and Adams. I do think there's going to be some quickness issues, especially at those 2-3 slots. And look, you're right that we've seen Minnesota play big in recent years. New York, when Mitchell Robinson is healthy, will play big. But look, Boston won its championship with Porzingis at the 5 and Tatum Brown at the wings. The Nuggets have been great with Jokic playing with Aaron Gordon. So it's a lot of times it's a more athletic kind of 3-4 hybrid wing that has been successful. But the Rockets, they just want to beat you up. That's what they do. And Durant, it's interesting. Like Durant, one of the things he said that I published in my story was that he was frustrated in Phoenix by playing so many small lineups. I think his phrase was, our best lineup was me and a bunch of guys that were 6'5" and smaller. So now he gets the chance to play 2 guard, which he probably hasn't played since his rookie year, when like PJ Carlissimo was experimenting with it. So he's going to get the opportunity to play with other big men. I think that's going to be interesting for him to be in that role.